the Daily Trust News Center. This is the News Hour.
Tonight on News Hour, INEC chairman at Chatham House says no plan to postpone elections. Atiku Tinubu woos voters in Ekiti and Kwara states. After 30 days, authorities to charge detained security guards attached to residents of late President Yar'Adua to court or release them. And on the international scene, 7 soldiers killed in Al-Shabaab attack on Somali military base. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Now the news in detail. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmoud Yakubu, on Tuesday said there is no plan to postpone this year's elections in the country despite identified challenges. Yakubu, who addressed a global policy think tank, the Chatham House, says though conducting the election for about 93.4 million registered voters is a daunting task, the Commission is ready to surmount such difficulty. Yakubu enumerated challenges that could undermine the election, to include insecurity, attacks on the Commission's facilities, among others, just as he acknowledged lessons learned from previous election and the task associated with the deployment of technology to enhance the process.
Elections in Nigeria have become events that attract extensive international attention and concern, not only because of the sheer size of the deployment, but also because of the importance of Nigeria in Africa, and most particularly in the West Africa sub-region. Understandably, therefore, there are enormous expectations, both within Nigeria and internationally, about the conduct and management of the 2023 general election. The expectations place a great responsibility on the election management body, the Independent National Electoral Commission. We are not taking these responsibilities lightly. We appreciate that there are challenges and concerns, but we also realize that there is enormous goodwill and support, both in Nigeria and beyond. Consequently, we believe that by forthrightly sharing our experiences and discussing the challenges openly, we can surmount the challenges and ensure that our elections in Nigeria continue to get better.
The People's Democratic Party presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has called on voters in Ekiti to vote for the PDP and defend their votes from every anti-democratic force bedeviling Nigeria today. Abubakar also condemned those he called enemies of progress for attempting to thwart the presidential rally by creating artificial fuel scarcity, and those who urged transporters to withdraw their services by creating hardship for the people. Atiku assured that if they vote the PDP into power, they will ensure the provision of basic amenities that will make life easy for them and Nigerians as a whole. Director General of the Campaign Council and Governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwal, said the PDP is working to rescue Nigeria from the hands of the APC, saying when the party comes to power, all Nigerians will be protected. The vice presidential candidate of the PDP, Ifeanyi Okowa, and the national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, urged Ekiti people to send APC packing from Nigeria in order to usher in a new Nigeria. The residential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has charged the people of Kwara State to vote for him and all APC candidates in the coming general elections in order to cement the freedom from exploitation they received or achieved 4 years ago. Tinubu gave the charge at the Kwara APC rally held at the Metropolitan Square in Ilorin, the state capital. The report.
Speaking at the rally, Tinubu told people that they had been enjoying progress under the leadership of Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak and urged them to remain committed to the administration. The presidential candidate is asking the people of Kwara State to cement their freedom by voting the APC in the coming elections. He added that the APC broom as one that symbolizes freedom.
Freedom
Tinubu promised to faithfully implement his 16-point agenda if elected as Nigeria's president. In his remarks, the Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdurrazak commended the people of the state for their overwhelming support for Tinubu. He urged them to translate the love into votes on election day, adding that the APC administration has done well for Nigerians in spite of the global economic meltdown, COVID-19 and other internal challenges.
President Muhammadu Buhari has done exceedingly well. We need to build on his success. No person could have done what he has done, despite the economic downturn, despite COVID-19, despite the difficult crisis. We have survived, sustained growth consistently.
We are proud of herself and the president and all the laudable achievements they've been achieving. Nigerian women are youth and no doubt in a better situation. We thank the governor of Kwara State for giving women a voice. Abi, all the women are doing very well in Kwara. Abi?
Earlier, the national chairman of the party, Abdullahi Adamu, appreciated the people of Kwara State for their support so far and urged them to solidify the support by voting all candidates of the party in the next general election. The event was attended by APC members and Kwarans across the 16 local government areas of the state.
Speaker, House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila has charged political actors to ensure that politics-related conversations seek to unite the people by highlighting an agenda of shared prosperity, social development and respect for humanity. This is against the backdrop of increased politics-related attacks in parts of the country. The Speaker at the resumption of plenary noted that the nature of political conversations, particularly in the build-up of elections, determine electoral outcomes and the quality of governance. He therefore urged Nigerians to unite and ensure that the dangerous trend of insecurity and attacks on political actors does not lead to circumstances that threaten the forthcoming general elections.
In parts of the country, we must unite to ensure this dangerous trend does not lead to circumstances that threaten the forthcoming elections. The quality of the political conversations in society, particularly in the lead-up to elections, is a determining factor in the electoral outcomes and the quality of governance that will result therefrom. When political discourse seeks to unite the people behind an agenda of shared prosperity, social development, and respect for the humanity of persons, governance will also reflect these priorities. The security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. With these words, the Constitution obligates us all who swear to serve the government to do everything to protect the lives and property of all citizens and promote their well-being above all else. This obligation is central to the governing contract between the government and the citizenry. As leaders in our various communities and constituencies, we must adopt a politics of accommodation and brotherhood. And we must ensure that no insecurity threatening our country's peace can be attributed to our actions or utterances. This is our constitutional obligation and a moral duty from which we must not deviate.
Now on security, police in Katsina say 4 persons abducted by bandits have been rescued. The police said operatives carried out a raid at criminal hideouts in Hunguma and Gozaki villages and succeeded in rescuing the kidnapped victims. A statement signed by police spokesman Superintendent Gambo Isa gave the names of the rescued victims as Saidu Ilya of Nasarawan Nankali village, Yusuf Umar and Abdullahi Bello from Bauchi State. The other victims are Abdullahi Bello, whom the statement said sustained a gunshot wound and was rushed to the hospital for medical attention. Isa said many of the terrorists were either killed or fatally injured during the rescue operation, adding that a team of policemen is still combing the area with a view to arresting the wounded terrorists or recovering their dead bodies. Similarly, the police, in a joint operation with NSCDC and Vigilante Group, raided bandits' hideout at Tamarke village in Bakori local government area, where they rescued one Abdusalam Maiwashi from Mahuta ward of Kafir local government area, kidnapped in December last year. Police in Katsina have arrested a notorious kidnapper and informant to bandits who participated in various attacks, kidnappings, and armed robberies in the state. Parading the suspect at the police command, the spokesman, Gambo Isa, says the suspect confessed to being a member of a notorious terrorist group operating in Safana and Dutsemma local government areas. Abdullahi Yamadi completes the report.
The suspect, Adamu Abdurrahman Zaka, was arrested by officers of Dutsemma Area Command following a distress call alerting the police of a terrorist attack in Zaka community. Though the suspected terrorist was not in possession of any weapon at the time of his arrest, he however confirmed that there are 2 AK-47 rifles, cutlasses, and operational sticks in the possession of the gang. The police say the suspected terrorist was arrested around Zaka area in Safana local government of Katsina State.
In fact, he's not denying all these allegations made against him. He has confessed that he was involved in so many attacks in communities in Zaka, in some neighboring villages around Safana local government area in Dutsemma.
The suspected terrorist told journalists that there were about 7 in the gang of Lawal Dantarugu and have participated in various robberies, abductions for ransom, and cattle rustlings, among other crimes. Our gang is one of the notorious terrorist groups operating in Katsina State, but I never participated in killings. We only rob, wrestle animals, and kidnap people for ransom. He revealed some members of their gang and assured of helping the police with credible intelligence that will lead to their arrest.
Akwai Jamilu, ni da Jamilu shage biyu, Nura shage uku, sai dan Tarugo hudu, sai Bishir na Ali hudu. Sai Nun Usman na Ali biyar, sai Murtala na Ali shidda, sai Nur, sai Shamsu na Ali bakwai, sai Hassan.
The police is also calling on residents to always be wary of the company their children keep to avoid falling victims of criminal gangs. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Aggrieved women and youths in Kafinkoro in Paikoro local government area of Niger State Tuesday morning raised the Kafinkoro Police Divisional Office. The incident took place 3 days after the parish priest of St. Peter and Paul Catholic Church, Kafinkoro, Reverend Father Isaac Achi, was burned to death by terrorists after invasion. Reports say some evangelical Church of Winning All and Catholic women groups converged on the premises of the burnt parish on Tuesday morning to pray against those who gruesomely murdered Reverend Achi. But a police detachment from the Kafinkoro Police Division was drafted to the church, stating it was directed to provide protection for the praying congregation. Still distraught over the inability of the police to respond on time and prevent the death of the father, the woman refused and resisted the protection provided by the police. The woman threw stones and sachet water at the police, forcing the operatives to retreat to their stations. Still on security, the Delta State Police Command on Tuesday said it killed 1 suspected armed robber in an operation in the state, adding that another suspected armed robber was mobbed to death. A statement signed by the police public relations officer of the state command, Bright Edafe, on Tuesday said one of the robbers was among a notorious gang that had been on the command's wanted list over their involvement in a foiled robbery operation in June 2022. It said the gang engaged officers of the command who were acting on a tip-off in a gun duel, and in the process, one of the suspected robbers was hit and injured. He was said to be confirmed dead when he was taken to the hospital. Items recovered are 1 locally made cut-to-size gun, 3 cartridges, 1 machete, and 1 dagger. Still on security, the Jigawa State Police Command has paraded six suspected kidnappers and armed robbers arrested in different locations in the state. Parading the suspects on Tuesday at the command headquarters in Dutse, the Commissioner of Police in the state, Emmanuel Effiom Ekot, said the police recovered one Barrett rifle with 7 rounds of cartridges, 1 fabricated revolver pistol, bows and arrows, 25 5.56 millimeter ammunition, 27.62 live ammunitions, 3 empty magazines of different rifles, a cutlass, and an iron bar. Others are a motorcycle, assorted charms, a mobile phone, 1 MP3 player, 400 pieces of Exol, 97 wraps of dried leaves, rubber solution, and 16,900 naira. The CP also said following the kidnap of Amadou Garba alias Maliki of Kwadebe village in Kiawa local government by suspected hoodlums to an unknown destination, the command's intelligence bureau trailed and arrested the 4 suspects. Ekot said on interrogation, the suspects confessed to have committed the offense in collaboration with one informant named Idris Lowang. The CP, who said the suspects were charged to court for prosecution and assured that the command will not rest until all criminals disturbing the state are fished out and brought to book. You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, how charcoal stove is fast becoming an economically efficient means of cooking. Do stay with us.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Daily Trust presents 20th Daily Trust Dialogue. Theme: Interrogating the 2023 Presidential Agenda. Panelists: Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika, former Chairman, First Bank of Nigeria. Professor Jibrin Ibrahim, Professor of Political Science and member of the Board of the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD. Dr. Yetunde Anibaba, Lecturer, Analysis of Business Problems, Lagos Business School. Dr. Eugene Enahoro, Human Capacity Development Specialist and CEO, Heltoni Services Limited. Chairman of the event, John Cardinal Onaikon, Archbishop Emeritus of Abuja. Date: Thursday, 25th January 2023. Time: 10 a.m. Venue: NAF Conference Center and Suites, Gwarimpa Expressway, near Next Shopping Mall, Kado, Abuja. For sponsorship and branding participation, contact 081 00 49 1948, 081 65 32 0660, or 080 33 92 8902. The event will be broadcast live on Trust TV.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. It's still News Hour on Trust TV. A recap of our top stories. We told you that INEC chairman at Chatham House says no plan to postpone elections. We also heard that Atiku Tinubu woo voters in Ekiti and Kwara states. Moving to more stories, families of some police operatives, cleaners and civilians guarding the residence of late President Umar Yar'Adua, detained for 29 days without trial, have called on authorities in Katsina State to either charge them to court or grant them on bail. The suspects were detained by the police in Katsina for allegedly conspiring to steal valuables belonging to the wife of the late President Ture Yar'Adua. Abdullahi Yamadi speaks to the families of the detained suspects on how they are coping in their absence.
Those in detention were alleged to have taken some valuables when some suspected thieves burgled into the house, cutting away some personal belongings. However, the families of the 8 suspects said continued incarceration of their breadwinners without formal charge in court is breach of their fundamental rights, demanding that they should be arraigned before a court of law and allow justice to take its course.
For the last 29 days, this family have nothing to eat. We were also denied access to our husband detained at the state CID. They say someone directed for the arrest and detention of our husband. We have been sick and exhausted. We are 24 in this family and our breadwinner is not with us.
During a visit to the house of one of the detained suspects, the family said they are in agony since the arrest of the family head 29 days ago without trial. Similarly, the children said they have been out of school since the arrest of their father 4 weeks ago. The last time we went to see them, we were chased away, telling us that the continued detention of the suspects, including the police officers and our father, is an order from above. They call on police authorities to act professionally by taking the suspects to court and allow justice to take its course on whoever is found guilty.
I'm of the view that this kind of professional misconduct are not helping matters and are not helping the image of our country. And of course, they are even exacerbating social unrest and disturbances as we have witnessed in 2021 during NSAS protests, whereby some youth staged a protest against police brutality and this kind of illegalities.
The police authority to keep these people with them for this quite a long period of time, I think it's not a good thing.
When contacted, the spokesman of Katsina State Police Command, SP Gambo Isa, declined comment on the matter. Abdullahi Ismail Ahmadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
International communities have re-echoed willingness to partner with the federal government and other relevant organizations in combating sex trafficking in Nigeria. The embassies of France, United States, Italy made the commitment at a press briefing on sex trafficking in Abuja on Tuesday. Dana Daniel Zagi has details of the story.
Putting a stop to sex trafficking of women and girls in Nigeria is why the stakeholders are guarded. They speak on the exploitation of Nigerian women and girls and how the demand in the sex market has fueled the trade globally. The United States ambassador to Nigeria, Maribeth Leonard, who commended the efforts of the Nigerian government in combating sex trade, said that the United States was fully partnering with the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, at many levels.
We can also get more people involved. This month, as you know, is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. Generating public awareness about the precursors and indicators of human and sex trafficking with events such as today's is an important part of this fight. Awareness of the signs of trafficking can help identify a victim or trafficking situation or prevent it from ever happening. Finally, we need to continue to actively work to hold those who commit and support these crimes accountable.
On behalf of the Argentine government, I invite all parties to renew their efforts to combat human trafficking and continue providing support to organizations that carry out such an important task.
Also speaking, Executive Director of Iroko Onlus, Dr. Isohe Ahatise, re-echoes how high demand in sex trade fuels sex trafficking, thus the need to deal with the root problems.
We are talking not just about an abstract phenomenon, but about something that starts from sexual violence that a lot of them have experienced already in the country of origin. We are talking about that inequality that sees women as disposable objects that can be bought and sold anytime, anywhere, even here in this country. And the need for a change of mindset where we begin to see women not as less than human, not as second-class citizens, not as disposable objects, but as human beings with a right to the same kind of opportunities.
To try to change the mindset regarding prostitution in the society by implementing sensitization policies, in particular towards the men and the young men. Because prostitution is a man's problem. It is a problem of men who believe that they can have a paid access to women's bodies.
Statistics reveal that millions of women and girls are trafficked for commercial sexual exploitation, which is a $99 billion industry according to the International Labour Organization. In Nigeria, the International Organization for Migration says at least 1.4 million people in Nigeria fall prey to human trafficking, with a large chunk of that number being women and girls. Dana Daniel Zagi, Trust TV News.
Thank you, Dana, for that report. Now, the National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control has notified the public that 2 substandard cough syrups named Abronol and DOK-1 Max contain toxic ingredients. In a statement published on its website, the agency noted that the products were identified in Uzbekistan, a Central Asian nation, and reported to the World Health Organization. According to NAFDAC, laboratory analysis of samples of both products undertaken by the National Quality Control Laboratories of the Ministries of Health of the Republic of Uzbekistan found both products contained unacceptable amounts of diethylene glycol and or ethylene glycol as contaminants. Niger Kogi commander of the Nigeria Customs Service has on Tuesday handed over 253.6 kilograms of cannabis sativa to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency in Niger State for onward agency action. Handing over the items worth 20.6 million naira, the area comptroller of Niger Kogi Area Command, Busayo Oluwagbemiga Kadejo, said the 317 packages of the illicit items were intercepted along Abuja-Lokoja Highway during patrol by officers of the command. He called on residents to be vigilant and report suspicious activities to law enforcement agencies. Receiving the items, the commander of the NDLEA Niger State Command, Haruna Kwatishe, said the agency had already warned politicians against the use of hard drugs to ginger thuggery during the forthcoming general elections, stating any politician and supporter found with illicit drugs during campaigns and elections would be prosecuted. He further said the intercepted illicit drugs will be destroyed.
To the former handing over of the 317 packages, some people call it blocks, of compressed cannabis sativa, popularly known as marijuana, intercepted along Abuja-Lokoja Highway by one of our patrol teams. So the state commander, NDLEA, Niger State Command. For record purpose, this intercepted marijuana weighs 253.6 kilograms with a street value of 20,605,000 naira only. I must begin by saying that this occasion has evoked a dual feeling in me, feeling of sadness and joy. One thing that I want you people to know is that most especially this time around, when we realize that elections are drawing closer, it is the duty of all our sundry to make sure that anything we see will inform the law enforcement agencies.
A vehicle loaded with jerrycans of fuel was on Tuesday gutted by fire at the entrance of NNPC filling station at Club Road by Murtala Muhammad Way in Kano. This is coming at a time fuel scarcity still persists in Kano and environs, with filling stations across the state selling at parallel prices. According to eyewitnesses, the vehicle burst into fire as they were about to go out of the filling station at around 5 p.m. While no life was lost, the driver was said to have sustained minor injury and ran away from the scene of the incident. About 15 shops with goods worth millions of naira have been completely razed down at Agbani Road in Enugu South local government area of Enugu State. Reports say a shopping plaza that housed electrical shops, hair salons, phone accessories, a cafeteria, and motorcycle parts caught fire at about 11 p.m. on Monday night. One of the witnesses, who gave his name as Onyebuchi Omerie, said the entire building would have been completely razed but for the intervention of residents who helped to douse the ravaging inferno. Omerie said although no one could actually state how the fire started, various accounts said the inferno that gutted the shopping mall started when someone tried to burn refuse in the gutter and allowed it to spread to the building. Moving back to politics, female candidates vying for different positions under different political parties in the North have been trained on issues relating election matters and the strategy they can adopt to perform better at the polls. The female candidates were trained in Jos, the Plateau State capital, at a 2-day capacity building training. The report.
Resource person said the training has better equipped the candidates and boosted their morale ahead of the elections, adding that they have learned what they hitherto did not know about election processes and its attendance matters.
Today we are organizing a 2-day mentoring and coaching session with female candidates who are aspiring the 2023 general election. So the training is to ensure that there is an increase in the representation of women in both the legislative and executive positions across Nigeria.
What we are telling them is, one, they need to be confident and to be conversant with the legal framework, and also to mobilize their supporters to participate in the process. How the accreditation will be done, the various mode of accrediting them, and the need for them to deploy their polling agents so that they can also help them to oversight the activities of INEC officials at the polling units.
The female candidates expressed their readiness to change the political narrative in the country by contributing meaningfully to the development of the country if given the opportunity to serve.
It all starts with encouraging yourself. You know, as a woman, as a female gender, when you come out, people look at you. Gone are the days they feel a woman starts and ends in the kitchen. It's about children, it's about no. I think with the level of exposure and enlightenment we have,
it has impacted so much on me. And some of the subjects or topics are like a refresher. When you look at my background, you check my background, you know that some of the topics I had them. I've been on the gender policy of the Nigerian Labour Congress, and that issues that has to do with gender.
The campaign has been very interesting. It's my first time running for office. I must really thank my party. They've been very supportive on the platform of the African Democratic Congress. So it was a very wonderful experience running as a female candidate. They've been very supportive. The campaign, of course, has been quite interesting. Doing a lot of fundraising from friends, even sitting down to really crystallize and put my thoughts together on what is it that I really want to represent my friends, my people, my state, and also how can I be effective as a legislator when I do get to the House of Representatives.
The candidates also lamented the absence of good governance in the region, saying that they are out to address governance deficits in the respective constituencies. They also stressed that funding and other cultural belief systems have continued to portray women in politics in bad light, adding that they have come to change such negative stereotyping.
The Economic Community of West Africa on Tuesday warned Nigeria against violence during the upcoming general elections, saying if violence breaks out in Nigeria, no country in the West African sub-region can accommodate huge refugees from the country. ECOWAS gave the warning during a meditation, training and interactive engagement with the Inter-Party Advisory Council and other stakeholders drawn from north, central and northeast of the country on non-violent 2023 elections held in Jos. Again, Ado Musa completes the report.
According to ECOWAS, the forthcoming elections in the country, if not properly handled, could be marred by violence, saying, however, that trainings of such kind will help participants understand the imperative of election security. Brown Odigi, ECOWAS Program Officer, Mediation, represented by Commissioner for Political Affairs, Abel Fatau, speaks more on the training.
Has enormous population. Elections is a period of, that can generate conflicts. And when not, or if not effectively managed, have the potential of snowballing into violence. And when violence occurs with the enormous population of Nigeria, it can split over to other neighboring countries. And I can assure you, no member of within the geopolitical zone, within the zone of ECOWAS, that we have the capacity to accommodate refugee outflows from Nigeria.
Other participants at the event also speak on the imperatives of peaceful conduct of election.
is focused on the promotion of peace and security in the region. And our main partner in this work is ECOWAS. And as you are aware, peaceful, inclusive, and credible elections are critical for peace and security. This training, therefore, falls within the framework of UNOAS's joint efforts with ECOWAS to support member states in their efforts to conduct peaceful, inclusive, and credible elections and entrench democracy. Given the role of Nigeria in the sub-region and indeed in Africa, it is crucial to work closely with all of you to ensure that the process in Nigeria will not only be successful, but would serve as an example for the rest of the sub-region.
I was trying to say is when I'm a student of sociology, and when you are solving problems, you look at both the immediate and remote cause of that problem. Why are we always talk about people fighting, people thuggery, so many things to disrupt election? Why do we do that? Where do we have the resources to go into this? It is because the political actors, who are the politicians, have the capacity to put in everything they can, legally or otherwise, to ensure they do what they want to the benefit of their personal interests.
ECOWAS called on stakeholders in the electoral process to put all hands on deck to ensure that the upcoming general elections are fairly and peacefully conducted. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
The House of Representatives has urged the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, Federal Ministry of Finance, Federal Inland Revenue Service, and other relevant stakeholders to explore Executive Order 007 of 2019, which deals with road infrastructure development and refurbishment investment tax credit scheme to provide an alternative funding source to finance the reconstruction of Bida, Lemu, Wushishi, Zungeru Road in Niger State. In a motion sponsored by Saidu Musa Abdullahi, the lawmaker raised concerns that despite the approval of the Minister of Works and Housing for the redesign and reconstruction of the road, the amount captured in the 2023 Appropriation Act for the road is grossly inadequate and cannot make any significant impact on the project. The lawmaker noted that if the Bida-Zungeru Trunk A road is reconstructed, it will enhance the western link of the country to the Zungeru hydropower project, which will generate 700 megawatts of electricity, which is close to 10% of the nation's total domestic energy needed, and have a positive impact on the country's GDP through enhanced agricultural productivity and commercial activities.
That the 92-kilometer Bida-Zungeru Road is the preeminent link route between the north and southwestern Nigeria, which was first constructed by Costain West Africa in 1962 during the First Republic and reconstructed by the Babangida administration in 1989. Also note that aside from the recent maintenance on some failed portion of the road through the COVID-19 intervention by FEMA, no rehabilitation has been carried out on the Trunk A road and its bridges since it was rehabilitated over 30 years ago. Aware that Zungeru town plays host to the ongoing 700 megawatt hydroelectric power station project embarked on by the federal government of Nigeria at the cost of $1.3 billion. The project is part of the federal government strategies to reposition power generation in phases in the country, and upon completion, we have the recognition of a strategic national asset. Also aware that the area from Bida to Zungeru is a major rice belt with huge potentials for other agricultural produce that can hugely contribute to the country's drive at food security. Concerned that the road leading to this strategic national asset, in addition to the huge agricultural endowment of the area, is in a total state of disrepair, leading to road traffic accidents and heavy post-harvest losses, and lowering the ability of farmers in these communities to monetize their farm produce.
Moving on to education, the federal government says it has put all security agencies on alert to protect all members of Congress of University academics across Nigerian universities from any attacks that may arise from members of Academic Staff Union of Universities. Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, who disclosed this to journalists shortly after a closed-door meeting with the leadership of CONUA, led by its president, Niyi Sumonu, also warned the union not to behave like ASU. Ngige finalized the registration of the two newly registered unions by formally presenting an official Gazette, Trade Dispute Act, and the official certificate of registration to the leaders. He charged the unions to operate fully across universities in the country without fear of intimidation, saying that the government took the decision because of the damages done to the university system by ASU. It will be recalled that an internal memo had during the weekend emerged from the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation requesting details of all members of the union for onward payment of their withheld salaries. The rising cost of cooking gas, kerosene and electricity tariff has forced urban dwellers to employ the charcoal stove option for cooking. In Makurdi, residents say this is the best and highly efficient cooking option for them at the moment. Jimmy Azande reports.
Charcoal stove, popularly called Abacha stove in Makurdi, is a technology that is gradually becoming quite popular in homes and business premises. No thanks to the rising cost of cooking gas, as explained by these residents.
I want to compare the prices of gas and kerosene. 1 kg of gas is 900 naira and a liter of kerosene is 1,000 naira. Meanwhile, charcoal is a lot cheaper and anybody can afford it. You can afford at the rate of 100 naira or 200 naira, depending on the quantity you want. And most people prefer to use charcoal because charcoal is more economical. And with time, with the financial difficulties in Nigeria, people will switch from using gas or kerosene to charcoal because
a liter of kerosene is sold at the rate of 1,000 naira or more than that. Now, talking about the prices of charcoal, we understand that with 100 naira or 200 naira, you can afford some charcoal, as an amount of charcoal that you can actually take home to come and make something for you to eat. Now, with this kind of a situation in Nigeria where there is high rate of poverty, you understand that many families are actually subscribing to the use of charcoal.
Other residents said it is stressful using the stove, but it has become a necessity since cooking is not an option for any home.
Where gas was then sold at the rate of 500 naira, right now is 850 naira, and then at black markets we have 900 naira. So that is a very serious reason for us to switch from the use of a cylinder or gas to abacha, which the cost of abacha is simple. We have some persons who can do it for us here, and then charcoal remains 100 naira.
So most families right now, they are going for charcoal because charcoal you can buy it at the rate of 100 naira, or depending to the amount you want to buy to use. But gas, a kg is 950 naira, while kerosene is 1,000 naira or even more. So here right now, I just want to say that gas and kerosene, their prices are too much for families to bear. So most families are going for charcoal right now.
On the flip side, the source of charcoal is deforestation. With climate change and its negative consequences, there may be more to worry about in the future if trees continue to fall for charcoal, firewood, and timber.
A Lagos-based legal practitioner, Omobolanle Rahim, who was allegedly shot dead by an assistant superintendent of police, Drambi Vandi, has been laid to rest. Bolanle was murdered on the 25th of December 2022 in Ajah area of Lagos State while on her way from church. The report.
The family of the 41-year-old lawyer, amidst tears, buried Bolanle at the Vault and Garden Cemetery in the Bejuleki area of Lagos State after a funeral service was held at the church where the family worshipped before her death. On Monday, 16th of January 2022, a service of songs was held in her honor at her place of worship, Olive Tree Parish of the Redeemed Christian Church of God at Banana Island, in Ikoyi area of Lagos State.
The first part, whoever serves me must follow me, and where I am, there will my servant be also. I'm sure you will agree with me that our sister Bolanle has followed the example of Jesus Christ. Some of us may say far too closely and won't be wrong, because she has followed him in life, she has followed him in death. There are so many parallels between her life and the life of our Savior.
Meanwhile, the alleged murder suspect, Inspector Drambi Vandi, has been arraigned before Justice Ibironke Olatubosun Harrison of the Lagos State High Court Annex at Tafawa Balewa Square in Lagos Island. The officer also pleaded not guilty to a one-count charge of murder preferred against him by the state government. The Attorney General of the Lagos State and Commissioner for Justice, Moesore Onigbanjo, who is also the lead prosecuting counsel on the case, in an interview with journalists on Monday at the court, said the state is ready to commence trial, as the state has 7 witnesses that will testify against the accused.
We'll now join Chiamaka Nwafo for business news.
The Central Bank of Nigeria injected $15.3 billion into the economy to stabilize the value of the naira from January to October of 2022. This was obtained in the banking sector regulator's monthly and quarterly economic reports on foreign exchange market developments. The reports noted that $4.8 billion, $4.81 billion, and $4.18 billion were injected into the economy during the first, second, and third quarters, respectively, while $1.46 billion was injected in October. It added that matured swap contracts rose by 187.33% to $0.82 billion relative to the previous quarter's level. However, the CBN added that sales at the small and medium enterprises and interbank invisibles window increased by 32.4% and 10.0% to $0.46 billion and $0.53 billion respectively, relative to the levels in the preceding quarter. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has stated that about 15% of low-income countries are already in debt distress in a new report titled Confronting Fragmentation Where It Matters Most, Trade, Debt and Climate Action. The IMF said an additional 45% of the population is further at high risk of debt distress. It stated that debt is a challenge that many countries face, and fragmentation will make it harder to resolve sovereign debt crises, especially if key official creditors are divided along geopolitical lines. Negative takeoff this week. Nigeria's equities market turned positive on Tuesday, rising by 0.67% or 192 billion naira as investors bought among other counters like MRS, Chalaram and UPDC rate. The market's benchmark performance indicators, that is the Nigerian Exchange Limited All-Share Index and market capitalization, increased from 52,348.82 points and 28.512 trillion naira respectively to 52,701.31 points and 28.704 trillion naira. Sterling Bank, Chams, GT Co, Zenith Bank and Royal Exchange were top 5 traded stocks on Tuesday as investors in 3,681 deals exchanged 228.4 million units valued at 4.443 billion naira. In the aggregate, 110 NGX-listed equities participated in trading, ending with 21 gainers and 15 losers. That's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
On the international scene, fighters from the Al-Shabaab group stormed a military base in central Somalia that the government had recaptured from them last year, killing at least 7 soldiers, including the base commander. According to Captain Aiden Nur, a military officer in a nearby town, the assailants from the Al-Qaeda affiliate rammed the base in the village of Hawadli with a suicide cab bomb on Tuesday and then opened fire. Al-Shabaab claimed responsibility for the attack in a statement, saying it had killed many apostate soldiers and their commander. The base is located about 60 kilometers north of the capital, Mogadishu, and was wrested from Al-Shabaab's control in October by government forces and allied clan militias. The operation was part of a broader government offensive which began in August and has made significant gains. On Monday, the government announced it had recaptured or captured Haradheda, an Al-Shabaab stronghold on the Indian Ocean coast that it had held for a decade. We'll now join Adeni Ajishafe for sports news.
Usman Coulibaly equalized 7 minutes from time as Mali came from 2 goals behind to draw 3-3 with Angola on Monday in an African Nations Championship CHAN thriller in Algeria. Delvi Gilberto Vera gave Angolas a 2-goal lead in the 72nd minute as his side looked set to win the Group D opener at the Olympic Stadium in the Chile western city of Oran. Euro Diaby nodded a corner into the net 6 minutes later, and substitute Coulibaly poked the loose ball past goalkeeper Hugo Marquez to complete a dramatic comeback. Lorindo Aurelio had twice put Angola ahead in the opening half, with 36-year-old Hamido Sinayoko scoring in between for Mali. After only 5 goals in the first 5 mini-league matches at 3 other venues, the goal feast excited the crowd at the 40,000-seat stadium. Elsewhere, Cameroon defeated Congo-Brazzaville 1-0 in Group E in a much less exciting Central African showdown. Cameroon, who came fourth as host of the last edition, took 63 minutes to break the deadlock against dogged opponents. Jerome Bekele dashed forward with his powerful, perfectly placed header that gave goalkeeper Pavel Nzila no chance. Meanwhile, African football governing body CAF has reacted to Morocco's absence at the ongoing Championship of African Nations Cup in Algeria. CAF in a statement on Monday said it met and had made the appropriate decision, while also declaring that Group C will now be played by 3 teams, while the first 2 teams will qualify for the knockout stage. And still on football, World Soccer ruling body FIFA has announced match officials who will be in charge at the forthcoming FIFA Club World Cup slated for Morocco 2023. A total of 26 match officials, including 6 referees, 12 assistant referees, and 8 video match officials, were listed for the competition. Africa will be represented by 4 officials. All selected match officials will attend the preparatory seminar starting in Rabat on 27 January 2023. The FIFA Club World Cup Morocco 2023 will play from 1st to 11th February 2023. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And with that, we've come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Dashan Husseina Usman. Thanks for watching.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.